Hello, hello, hello. Just getting set up here. I'm a wee bit delayed, but I'm getting there. Welcome. Today I'm going to talk about workplace toxic behavior number 10 out of 15. Isn't that crazy? I'm talking about number 10 today. So let's start a poll here. We're going to add a question. And we're talking about, let me get my microphone up here. We're talking about when you're treated like an object in the workplace. I don't know about you, but it has happened to me where I have felt like I've been treated like an object. So have you ever felt like an object in the workplace? That's not a good question, because that could go in a whole lot of different directions. And we're not talking about sexualized objects. That does happen, not the focus of today's conversation. Let's see. Have you felt like your work? I can't seem to figure out how to word this question today. I'm going to figure out that question as you're coming in here to join me today. But we are talking about being treated like an object in the workplace. And again, simple yes, no. Okay, we'll publish it as it is. So in terms of identifying workplaces in where they treat their people like objects as opposed to humans with valuable ideas, thoughts, feelings, needs, and wants, that's kind of what we're focusing on today. There's actually a term called worker objectification. And I've got a download that you can get in the Conquer Conflict group if you want to join there. But worker objectification, it's actually quite common in many industries. You know, you think of people who become viewed as an extension of the work that they do. So maybe you actually work on a machine all day and you're viewed as the person who runs that machine. So there's almost like an extension that you are the machine. So it can happen in certain industries, and both men and women are certainly subjected to being looked upon as an object in the workplace. Again, I'm not talking about sexual objectification. That's completely outside of this one, although it does happen. I'm referring just simply to the fact that you feel like your work is not valued and you're more of a tool in the workplace to get somebody further ahead. So women, according to the research, I do have an article that I cite in the download that you can access in the Conquer Conflict group, but women are certainly subjected to this more in the workplace than men, according to some researchers. But what is universal are the feelings that are associated with appearing and feeling like you're an object. The feelings of frustrations with the lack of autonomy, the feeling of a lack of self-determination, the feelings of frustrations that you're not a human, you don't have needs, wants, desires, feelings. And if you've ever been in that situation, you may have heard yourself or others say things like, "They don't own me." It's a real common response to when someone feels as if they don't have any power in the situation. Or do they think they can just come in here and tell me what to do? It's another one, feeling like you're an object, right? So when there's such a disregard for you as a human, when there is no consideration for maybe the competing priorities that you're dealing with, maybe you have another task that you're prioritizing, or maybe you've got some family that you need to consider, like you can't stay late at work because you have to pick up your child at daycare, or you can't do 12-hour shifts because you don't have a spouse in town anymore, he's outside of town, and again, you have other things you have to take care of, family, animals, kids, whatever that might be. But those things are not even considered. So how do you recognize someone who's only using you for what you can give them, how they can gain from your work? Well, these people can certainly be charming. That's one thing, is that they can be charming and very flattering and give you compliments only until they get what they need from you, and then they're gone. Then they ignore you at the workplace. They're no longer your best buddy. You're no longer going for coffee. They're not bringing you coffee anymore because they've taken what they need from you, and now you're no longer valuable to them, so they're gone. That's one sign. The second sign might be that conversations are very one-sided, and it's their side. And it doesn't matter how you try to interject, the information you try to bring forward, the concerns that you illuminate, it's almost as if they can't hear you. And that's because they have an objective in mind, and you are really just a tool to get them where they need to go. Again, they'll stop talking to you once you give them what they need. And they are likely repeat offenders. So this is sign number 3, that there are probably others who are talking about the same situation in where they feel like they're just an object at work. A cog on the wheel is another example that people will use, and that they really are only interested in what you can provide them. So there will be others who are like-minded to you. Now, once you've given them what they want from you, they're just going to move on to the next person and suck everything out of them that they can get to move their objectives forward. So these are things that are kind of obvious when you have been on the other end and you feel like your work is just an object. You might also say that you're just a pawn on a chess game, right? They just take you and move you around as they need fit. That has certainly happened to me a lot. And it doesn't feel good, right? So what can leaders and colleagues and others do to reduce the impact or reduce the frequency of feeling like you are an object or a pawn on a chessboard? Well, it requires that people use empathy. Now, I know this is going to sound maybe strange because you want them to use empathy, but even for ourselves to try and understand our boss's situation or our colleague's situation as to why we might be feeling this way. So asking the who, what, where, when, how questions as opposed to the why questions. We want to know the why, don't get me wrong. I love to know the why, and sometimes I still use a why question, but if we can shift our questions and our curiosity to who else is involved in this decision-making process? Who else would benefit from this? What is the end goal? What is my role in this? Because sometimes we just don't get enough information. And that's another thing that you can either seek out or you can offer, depending on which side of this objectification you are on. Is if you are the person who is in the leadership position, a supervisor, a boss, an owner, it doesn't matter, or maybe even an informal leadership position, when people understand what it is you need from them and why you need it from them, then the value in achieving that objective rises. And not only will they get the work done, they will have ownership into it, and they will be more likely to do it another time. And if you want to boost, like double, 3 times, 5x your potential for getting them to continue to produce good work, then the next thing you want to do is reward it, recognize it, and magnify it. Let people know that what they're doing is so valuable that if they were to stop, it would cause serious consequences. People need to know the value of what they do, right from the main entry jobs in your workplace right up to the very top one. Everybody has a need to know. And then they'll start to feel less like an object, less like the work that they do is meaningless and less menial in terms of contribution. Right, so even if all you're doing is putting widgets together every day, and that's your job, you're on a factory line and you put the top and the bottom pieces together and off it goes. Top and the bottom piece together and off it goes. Something that can seem so trivial to you in your daily job that it's so repetitive that you do it all the time. You can start to feel like you're not valued, that you are an object, and that any monkey can do this work. That's another thing you might hear. But it's not true. We've trained you. People have put time into you. There's education, there's understanding, there's awareness that you bring to that job that others do not. And so let people know. By the way, if you have some questions and you're just popping in here, let me know. Say hello in the chat and let me know where you're watching from. I always like to know where people are coming in from. And let me know if you've ever been treated like an object in the workplace in terms of maybe your purpose was just to put a paper together and hand it in to somebody else, or maybe your goal, your target activities for work were just to count all the dry erase markers that we have so that we know what we need to order, and that's your daily job is to keep track of things. Just let me know. And obviously if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them and engage in dialogue. All right, so what else can you do if you're in this situation? Why not just throw caution to the wind and let somebody else lead? If you're able to let someone further explore their ideas, their concepts, their pathway to achieve a goal, why not let them go with it and see where it takes them? Because there's actually a lot of learning and lessons that you can gather from another person's viewpoint, perspective, experience, knowledge, energy. You know, the ownership in that whole outcome would be magnified as well. And of course, if you are feeling like you are being treated like an object, like your work doesn't matter, like you're only there to produce content for somebody else to benefit from, you do have the responsibility to verify that perception. There are a lot of perspectives in the workplace, and somebody else might see what you're doing as extremely valuable and you don't see it. Or maybe the person who is the one that is responsible for giving you that feedback is so overwhelmed that they don't even recognize that they're not giving you feedback. It's a possibility, but you have to take that responsibility to verify your perception. So there's a little bit more information in this document. Again, if you want to go into the Conquer Conflict group and join there for free, there's nothing that you have to pay. It's just a group of like-minded people, and you can access a whole lot more information there. As always, send your questions and comments in, and I'll be talking about toxic workplace behaviors number 11 through 15 for the remainder of this week, and then we'll move on to something new next week. So thanks for joining, and we will talk again soon.